and just adding that one ingredient you saw really sets this gravy off. On medium to medium-low heat, I melt in 1/4 cup of unsalted butter. There was a viewer who expressed skepticism about the amount of butter I used in my last gravy video, and I assure you it is 1/4 cup, which is equivalent to a half stick of butter. As a general rule, whenever you're making a roux, it's best to use equal amounts of fat and flour. And then once the butter is just fully melted, as you don't want it to start boiling, you're going to slowly and gradually add 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour while stirring constantly. I had another viewer in my last gravy video who left a very passionate comment indicating that you should just add the flour all at once. There are two schools of thought on this and each side feels strongly about it, but I'm going to show you why I disagree with that viewer. So here I have a video featuring a home cook who's attempting to make gravy from scratch. If you noticed at the beginning of the video, the fat they're using didn't have any bits from the meat they cooked, and I'm going to explain why that's important shortly. Now this cook just did exactly what the viewer suggested, which is dump all of their flour into the skillet at once versus sifting or sprinkling it in slowly and gradually. So they're starting to stir around the flour and it does begin to dissolve in the fat. They're also not using the whisk, which doesn't help, but in any event, to my point, you're going to see a jump cut and you'll notice, despite them constantly stirring around the flour and the fat, it never fully dissolves. And I'm going to pause this video so you can get a better look at what I mean. So when you add a ton of flour at once to a hot liquid, the outside surface of the flour will tend to gelatinize rapidly. Thus what ends up happening is raw, dry flour will end up getting trapped inside of this gelatinized exterior. When that occurs, no amount of additional liquid or heating will be able to penetrate what is essentially a shell in order to fully hydrate that flour once it's been gelatinized. That's why you see all those clumps of flour, and that's why they never really go away. And you'll see the same thing happen when you fry chicken. A lot of what falls off will simply leave behind lumpy flour in the skillet or deep fryer. And I'm going to jump ahead and show you the final result. It doesn't look bad at face value, but if you look closely, you can still see those clumps of flour moving around. So getting back to my gravy, I just finished sprinkling my last little bit of flour into the saucepan, and this is where I recommend slowly and gradually adding your flour while stirring constantly, especially for home cooks who are still learning and struggling with making the roux. If you look in the saucepan, you don't see any trace of flour whatsoever. You're going to allow your roux to cook for approximately 6 to 9 minutes on medium to medium-low heat. Then you're going to slowly and gradually add 2 cups of unsalted chicken broth while stirring constantly. Now, as the author Suzanne Brockman once said, there's no right or wrong way to work, there's only your way. So if you prefer to use chicken drippings in place of the chicken broth and happen to have 2 cups of chicken drippings on hand, then by all means be my guest and substitute the chicken broth with chicken drippings. And in the event you still end up with lumpy or grainy gravy, you can easily save this by straining the gravy through a sieve as shown on the screen. And if your gravy happens to be really lumpy or grainy, you can use a countertop blender or immersion blender as well. So I'm just adding the last little bit of broth to the saucepan. It does seem like a lot of liquid, but I'm going to show you that it will thicken up nicely as it interacts with the starch from the flour. But before we do, we're going to move on to my favorite part, which is adding the seasoning. So for this recipe, I'm adding iodized salt, garlic powder, onion powder, rosemary, thyme, ground white pepper, and marjoram. Then once those seasonings have been blended and well incorporated, you're just going to allow the gravy to simmer on medium to medium-low heat for 5 to 15 minutes until it reaches your desired thickness. One easy way to check the gravy's done this is with the spoon test. You want the gravy to stick to the spoon when you scoop it out, but right now it's still really runny. So again, we're just going to allow more time for it to simmer and thicken while stirring occasionally. For a thinner consistency, you should let it simmer closer to 5 minutes. For a thicker consistency, you should let it simmer for closer to 15 minutes. One thing I must stress though is that the exact cook times will vary somewhat depending on both the type of stovetop you have as well as the equipment you're using, which is why you should judge the ideal thickness for yourself. So at this point, I've allowed the gravy to simmer on medium-low heat for around 15 minutes and it has reached my desired consistency, so I'm going to carefully remove it from the heat. By the way, the fact that the chicken gravy has a brighter tone is not by accident. Traditionally, chicken gravy has a light brown, beige, or blonde color, which is what I was hoping to achieve with this recipe. If you prefer chicken gravy with a darker brown color, you would simply cook the roux longer until it also has a darker brown color. You can see how well it's sticking to the spoon as well. If you enjoyed this and would like to see more recipes, please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, I love you. Bye bye.